Yokai are supernatural creatures in Japanese horror legends, often categorized as obake or bakemono. Obake means something with great ability or a strange shape. Bakemono refers to ghosts, demons, or supernatural beings that can temporarily change their form. Bakemono are different from spirits of the dead because they don't come from the human world. They often disguise themselves as humans, but in strange or terrifying forms, like having flat faces, no eyes, no nose, wide mouths, or other unusual features. In legends, yokai usually have supernatural powers that can harm or even kill humans. One of the famous yokai is called Yamamba, or Yama-uba, also known as the Mountain Grandmother. She is depicted as a kind old woman who lives in the mountains. However, don't be fooled by her gentle appearance, as Yamamba is known to be dangerous and is often described as a cannibal. The origin of Yamamba isn't very clear, but stories about her have been around for a long time. Some legends link her to nature and the supernatural powers of the mountains. Physically, Yamamba is described as an old woman with long, messy white hair and a very wide mouth that stretches to her ears. Her body is thin with long arms and legs, and she wears ragged, dirty clothes. However, it's also said that she can change her shape at will. Sometimes she transforms into a beautiful woman and offers shelter to travelers who spend the night in the mountains. She provides food and drink, but after they fall asleep, she kills and eats them as fresh meat. This myth is believed to have come from the tradition of abandoning elderly women in the mountains and the folklore of Ubasateyama. Villagers say that people who get lost in the mountains often become her victims. Among them are traveling merchants who sell goods, riding oxen or horses, like wooden bucket sellers or household goods traders. One such story is found in the folk tale Ushikata Yamamba. Once a merchant was transporting his goods using an ox, which included salted salmon. While passing through a mountain road, the merchant was stopped by Yamamba. She threatened to kill him unless he gave her the fish. With one bite, she swallowed the fish whole. Eventually, she ate all the fish, and even the ox pulling the cart was devoured. The merchant managed to escape before Yamamba could eat him too. There are many versions of stories that describe Yamamba's cruelty. She is known for kidnapping children and eating people lost in the forest. Another well-known story comes from the Konjaku Monogatari. One morning, a Buddhist monk was found by villagers near the forest in a state of shock. He was exhausted and thirsty, muttering unclear words. After the villagers gave him water and he calmed down, they asked what had happened. The monk explained that he had been running non-stop all night from the forest. He had been caught in a snowstorm while climbing a mountain, but came across a small hut where a kind old woman lived. She offered him warmth by the fire and food to eat. After the monk accepted her offer, the old woman gave him a strange warning. Whatever happens, never look in the room at the back of the hut. Ignoring the warning out of curiosity, the monk peeked into the room. He was horrified to see it filled with corpses that looked like they had been eaten by a monster. Realizing the old woman was actually Yamamba, the monk fled from the hut in terror, knowing he could have been her next victim. In another story, Yamamba punishes a miserly and arrogant man. In the tale of Kuwazu Nyobo, a wealthy man known for his stinginess wanted a wife who worked hard but ate very little to conserve his wealth. He married a beautiful woman who seemed to meet his expectations. However, his rice supplies mysteriously diminished, despite her small appetite. Curious, he secretly followed her one night and was shocked to see her transform into the monstrous Yamamba. Hidden beneath her long hair was a second mouth at the nape of her neck. In another tale, Yamamba eats a widow and prepares to devour her 3 children. After eating the mother, Yamamba disguised herself as the woman, planning to feast on her children. However, the 2 older siblings saw what had happened and escaped by climbing a tree. From there, they prayed to the heavens for help, and a golden rope descended to rescue them. Although she is a terrifying figure, Yamamba has also been an inspiration in various works of Japanese popular culture. She often appears in manga, anime, and video games, though her appearance and character are usually changed to fit the story. Unlike the frightening tales previously mentioned, in some regions, Yamamba is actually seen as a benevolent spirit. In the mountainous areas of Tokaido, Shikoku, and southern Kyushu, the locals also know of a figure called Yamajiji, or the mountain grandfather. Yamajiji lives alongside Yamamba and childlike yokai called Yamawaro or Yamawarawa. In Iwata, Shizuoka Prefecture, Yamababa is depicted as a gentle woman wearing clothes made from tree bark. She is known to borrow a pot from villagers to cook rice. Though she only uses 2 scoops of rice, the pot becomes full once it's cooked. On Hachijojima Island, there is a yokai known as Teji or Tenji, a large, tall woman who kidnaps people and hides them from sight. However, once she becomes familiar with the villagers, she helps by bringing grass to feed their horses and is generally kind-hearted. If a child gets lost, Teji will take care of them for 3 days. In the legend of Ubakawa, Yamamba is portrayed as a figure who brings good fortune to people. In Kochi Prefecture, some locals even revere Yamamba as a protective goddess of their homes. According to legend, any house that Yamamba passes by will instantly become wealthy.